Good evening, Miss.
കേക്കാവോ?
Good
evening, Miss.
ഗുഡ് ഈവനിങ് ജനത.
Thank you, Miss.
വളരെ സൗണ്ട് കുറവാണ്.
ആരുടെ?
അനിത മിസ്.
അതാണ് ഹ്യൂമൻ റൈറ്റ്സ് പ്രോഗ്രാം, അതിലാണ് ഇരിക്കുന്നത് മിസ്.
അതെ. ഇപ്പൊ കേൾക്കാം.
മെർലിൻ മേഡോ, മിസ് ഇതാണ് റിസോഴ്സ് പേഴ്സൺ.
ഗുഡ് ഈവനിങ് മാം.
മേഡം, പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, madam.
I think you are all friends.
Yes.
Resource person, Janata, Media, Anita.
Resource person is like sister, my sister, Miss.
That's
We
a
are
nice way to say, yeah, sister.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why they are also connected.
So it's all set up.
Yes, Mary.
Okay. Meera Chichi, I have just taken out that second video. We will play only one video.
Okay.
You have the
Just
link
one.
with you, right? Yes, just that one.
Which one? The
Remove the second.
second video, ma'am.
Yes. The second one, which I said, the long one, I didn't want that. So we will remove that. Yeah. No hassle. So today is the last day.
Yes.
We hope to have the valedictory short and sweet.
ജനതാ മിസ് ഞാനുണ്ട് കേട്ടോ പ്രവീൺ.
Oh, Praveen, thank you, Praveen.
Welcome, Praveen.
If I turn on my presentation, can you see the slides? Just confirm. I think we can turn this on, and I would like to see how it appears to you, because I cannot see it myself here.
Yeah. Once you share it, and then we will start the meeting.
Yes. Is this okay?
Okay. Start presenting the PPT. Start presenting slideshow.
Yes, I thought when I start to interact, I will minimize the screen to this.
Okay.
Is that fine? Because we
Oh,
have
fine,
a poll,
fine.
and I would like to see the poll along with you.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's one question answer session. Will that be
Yes.
good enough to question the audience?
Yes, ma'am.
For the question answer session, there's one
Yes.
question. And will it be fine if I can interact with the audience?
Yes, yes. You can interact with the audience.
Janada Chechi, you are muted.
Janata Chechi?
Is it fine, madam, if we have it at the end of the session after your talk? We will-
All right. Okay.
Yeah, we will have
I'll just
definitely interactive session is there. As soon as your talk is over, we will just put out the questions to you.
Great. Okay. So I will push that slide towards the end. Then that must be fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Start ചെയ്യാവോ?
ഒരു minute.
Yeah.
So shall we start, madam?
Yes, sure. So by the time I present, I go to the slideshow way.
Yeah, you can.
Yes. Let's start.
But madam, I think that you have to stop sharing. Then you have to again start when you start talking. At that time, you can start once more.
Yeah,
Okay.
done.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All set.
I'm Dr. Meera. Welcome to the 7th day concluding session of 7 days short-term program on human rights organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell and Institution Innovation Council of Ayyappa College for Women, Chinkagare, in collaboration with UGC HRDC, Kannur University, Kerala. A famous French philosopher has once said, "I think, therefore I am." Thinking is a fundamental to human nature, and consequently, the right to express do follow. Communication rights involve the freedom of opinion and expression, participation in one's own culture, linguistic rights, rights to education, privacy, assembly, and self-determination, and every such emanation of humanness. That necessity includes a right to own, have access to it, and engage in means of communication. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognizes and declares this right. Our Indian Constitution enshrines in its Article 19 the freedom of speech, expression, right to assemble, and determination. The world has progressed a lot from totalitarian societies suppressing expression of opinion to open, free, self-determining societies. Today, we have got a very special guest, Dr. Merlin Meadow, the Director, Communication Professionals, and Assistant Professor of Business in English Communication, Stedham University of Applied Sciences, Qatar, as our chief guest. And I'm going to listen about the multi-dimensional issues on the most important human rights. Thank you, ma'am, for your presence here.
My pleasure.
Now I invite Dr. Anita, Assistant Professor of History, for proposing the welcome speech. Ma'am, please. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Anita.
Thank you, Anita ma'am. Let me invite Dr. Marlene Meadow to present her lecture on communication rights. Ma'am, please.
So with all my pleasure, I am privileged to make a talk here. Hope you can see my screen.
Yes. No.
Not it? Okay.
Now it's okay, ma'am.
All right.
All right.
Hats off. Yes, hats off to your program on human rights. This is really timely, and all my input support has been with you. I admit the timeliness of this program. As Dr. Shashi Tharoor said during the inaugural session, he was very much impressed of the timeliness. So do I. And today, being the last day, I will not say it's the last day. This is a seed for the fresh growth. I have my recommendation for our government, for our Indian context in communication rights. So my session is all about communication rights and introspection and reflection. Well, I am not a theory person. I would like to look into the practical sense of my talk today. So this is very much in sync with what direction we had in the inauguration. It is not dwell just alone with the theories, but let us look into the action. I give an overview of my session here. In essence, I will talk about what is communication and how is it pursued, and why is communication a basic human right? At the international context, at the national context, quoting UNESCO, and Article 19, of course, we would like to see that communication right is not just a single aspect, but it is all interwoven with all human rights that we have been speaking all 6 days through. Let us see how many of us will speak up for communication rights. And I have a short, quick polling to see how we exercise our communication rights. Then, of course, to strategize our communication with full rights in various other aspects. I have picked top 3. We will look into it. And also an insight into the 4 levels of UNESCO's right to communicate. So what is in front of us and how many of us are exercising that? We also launched a recommendation to the government in terms of how we strengthen the present generation, equipping themselves towards communication rights and their own right to other basic human rights. Let's move on to the basic thing. What's communication in essence? It's intrinsic to our community. Human nature is by default tends to communicate, expected to communicate. We are all social beings. And communication has been a part of our history. Every cell in our human body communicates. Sometimes we feel isolated ourselves just because we don't exercise our communication rights. And I would like to highlight Article 19, which says that right of every individual or community to have its story and views heard is itself the right to communicate. If we isolate a baby, and by the time the baby realizes the isolation, the baby can never relate to the personality that it has developed unless and until the baby comes in contact with a human globalization. Well, let's move on to the next. As I said, I would be quoting on Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The most important aspect is everyone has a right to freedom of opinion and expression, including the right to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Having said so, do you really realize communication and information, they go hand in hand? When you claim for right to communicate, definitely you would call yourself a champion of the right to information. right? So here you go. Communication is always pursued in the wrong sense, majority of the time, because either the receiver doesn't want to interact, so the sender only sends the message and assumes that the receiver receives the message and never takes the feedback from the receiver. So what happens is the receiver is now devoid of the communication right. An ideal ecosystem nurtures the sender and the receiver to communicate and also to interact. Well, so Cambridge says communication is a process of sharing information, especially when this increases understanding between people or groups. But I would like to talk about what UNESCO says here, because today our session is all about communication rights. So the UNESCO comes up with a different flow of thought. It's not just limited to, interaction, but also an understanding of modern communication is essential now. So it must go beyond the outdated vertical model, the one flow concept of flow. These days, due to restrictions or due to upper-handedness of officials, the media sometimes loses its voice. Sometimes it's a real challenge for the media to get answers from the officials, to get answers from the government. And our questions are unanswered many a time, looking at the atrocities going around. Communication flow should be seen as a multilateral process in which not only one can communicate to many, but also one-to-one and many-to-one or many-to-many. This is a reality check. Are we experiencing this kind of communication right around us? This is for each one of us and for each community around us, or for the community in which we thrive now. Okay? Let's look at how effective we can make ourselves to be heard. In communication, as I teach communication in colleges and universities, I always encourage my students to assess their communication in terms of these C's: concise, clear, correct, concrete, complete, courteous, and coherent. For that matter, we have an excellent example. Dr. Shashi Tharoor needs no explanation. We have always admired the communication that he extends with a rich vocabulary, exhibiting all these C's in his delivery. I would like to call upon Dr. Meera to play this slide.
Ma'am, please stop your presentation.
Yes. Yeah. Please.
Frequently voiced by authoritarian rulers and power elites to rationalize violations and keep them in power. Just as the devil can quote scripture for his purposes, so also developing country communitarianism can be the slogan of a deracinated tyrant. It should be the responsibility of all of us who are interested in human rights to look beyond the noise and to really find those voices that are unpaid, individuals and communities that are genuinely in distress or disenfranchised, and to help them overcome these challenges and lead an empowered life as they deserve. I do not presume for a moment that it will be easy. Perhaps that's where courses such as the one we're inaugurating today can play a pivotal and guiding hand that trains young minds not just the history of human rights, not just the theory of human rights, but contextual.
Thank you. May I present now?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, please stop presenting.
Someone is sharing. That's why it's resumed. Krishna Venu.
Okay, now it's fine.
In going to UP to protest the violation of human rights.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So we all agree that we did find the talk to be concise, clear, in direction, correct, concrete, complete, courteous, and coherent. I would like to take from the talk that we need to overcome the noise in communication, as Dr. Shashi Tharoor has quoted. So now let us analyze what kind of noise is amongst us. So what is noise in communication basically? Noise is nothing but anything that interferes with a communication process between a speaker and an audience. There are 4 types of noise which we realize or may not be. One is psychological, physical, semantic, and physiological. Yes. So let's look at the first one here onto your right side. The barriers within the center or receiver and the articulation problems that we have, like mumbling, talking too fast, too slow, or forgetting to pause. These can be still overcome by many other measures, many other strategies. And when we say it's physical, we say interference that is external to both speaker and listener, loud party, loud kids, emitters, because we all have taken to online working, online teaching, and online meetings. And we have quite a plenty of this happening every time. What is meant by semantic? Sometimes we tend to have jargon figure, acronyms, SIA, and abstract ideas that the audience cannot even make it out from what we speak. So these kind of semantic aspects should be nulled. And psychologically, we have sometimes mental interference in the speaker or the listener with the wandering thoughts. So once we spot this, we are ready to fix it. A famous example for the physiological, the top one, I would say Socrates. Many of us here would have read the literature, the history, and even philosophy faculties over here. You would agree with me. The Greek philosopher Socrates, he had the physiological type of noise, which was mumbling. So he used to chew, the pebbles just to correct himself and to come out of this mumbling. So we are very much in sync that we have practically witnessed many other things in our lives as well. So how do you reduce this noise? By practice? Yes, I have given you an example with a famous Greek philosopher. And you make your language more precise, more audience-oriented, so that the audience, they understand the essence of communication, the intent behind the entire communication. And not just with that, we invite feedback. So whenever we have webinars, interaction is really important, vital. I would love to interact with my audience. I would love to just sense their pulse on the subject. Without that, you can never overcome noise. So as we aspire to exercise communication rights, we need to have a double check, a triple check, if we have these type of noise amidst us, in us. So therefore, we aim at successfully delivering a communication without noise, with all the C's that I said. The right to be heard is well prepared with the preparation, as now we see, without noise and making the important C's in our communication. Well, let's say communication right, it is not just a separate division. It is coherent with the other basic human rights. So it is said communication is in fact central to how we enjoy many other human rights. This is especially noted in Article 19 of UDHR, the right to take part in the government of the country, the right to education, the right to participate in community life, and the right to work. We need to check on all these things. Are we entitled to all these? Do we really exercise all these things? We do have the rights. We are in a democratic country. and we have the legal right to experience, to exercise all these things. Another question is, how many of us really speak up for communication rights? Haven't you felt yourself nulled many a times by others who have an arrogant hand? Or could be you just don't experience yourself there because you're basically silenced. So communication as a human right is seen from 4 perspectives here. Communication rights of all people on one hand, communication rights of children below 18 age, we say, and communication rights of people with communication disabilities. We had a good session yesterday wherein this was highlighted. I could see snippets of talk, and I appreciate that. The last one is communication rights relating to language. So each one has the authority, has the right to choose his own language. And there is no restriction. There is nothing to impose on any individual. Right. Let's see another angle of us, because many of us, we feel that we have championed the cause of communication, but in essence, we haven't. There is a void which can be filled in with our due introspection and attention. I would like to introduce you to this particular side, wherein it questions, are we the human rights champions? Because this program is all about human rights. And we had all these days been lectured on human rights, given enough and more support on human rights. Are we really the champions? How many of us really voice out? So this is one such side where we stand up for human rights. And the slides remain with you. You can use this. You can click on that and experience how the world is being heard and how voices are given for each and every aspect. We tend to find a lot of troubles, anxiety happening around, but we don't want to express ourselves. You can still voice out. You can still support the basic cause that is required in many other issues around us. And I need not to explain. You have everything up there on the screen. You understand what I mean. Okay, so the basic of freedom of expression ranks among the sacrosanct foundation stones of all human rights. That is what I wanted to say. You need to express any cause that you want to champion or support. So this is the basis. Now it's a live polling. I wanted each one of you to question your conscience and engage yourself in this live polling. Hope you have your camera, phone camera on, and you can, screen this particular, logo kind of thing over there. Yes, or I just come to the chat box and I give you the link here. I stop presenting and I would go to the chat box, or straight away we do that. Okay, please look at the chat box. I'm posting the link and it's a polling. Yes, it's a live polling. Here you go. Hope you can see my screen. Very good. How about others? I see 15, 16. Yes, please. How many of us are here now at the moment? At the moment, we are 200 plus, and I would like to see everyone voice out. This is a reality check. We want to ensure how we see ourselves, and how many of us in our society feel genuinely that we are able to express ourselves. Okay. Those who find it difficult to go to the link, just please point your camera to this particular logo. We call it QR code. Take your camera, the phone camera, just open the app camera, and you can just point your camera and this code. This code will take you to the other, browser, wherein you can just give your vote. Okay. It shows 37 of us having polled in. We wait for another half a minute. Okay, so I could see many of them trying to type in yes. Is that possible for you to poll in? Those who have responded on the chat box, could I please ask you to go to the polls and register your vote there? Hope you can see on the screen. So I think that comes to a saturation. Many are not able to utilize their phone for polling, I guess so. Dr. Meera, shall we continue then?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So let us freeze at this moment, and we take a look at our screen now. That 92% of us are happy enough that they do exercise the communication rights. And we are in a democratic country. I expected sweeping up the floor with 100%, but it didn't happen. This is the reality check. And I'm glad many of us could say that, they haven't been experiencing, same as this 92 blessed lot who feel, yes, they do exercise their communication rights. And again, if I try to intrude amongst this 92%, I am sure with the questions that I ask, they would be able to spot what exactly are they exercising, and they think as communication rights being exercised. So that's a reality check. Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to the slide. So the right to communicate, I'm talking for all 92% who have voted in. The right to communicate includes the right to speak, right to be heard, the right to reply, the right to make reply, the right to listen, to see, to be seen, to express oneself in writing or in print, to express oneself in the form of art, the right to be selective. So this is not like a general opinion being formed. This is from the UNESCO documents. We have tried to look into what exactly the right to communicate means. Now my question to all 92% over here, you said, yes, you are able to exercise communication rights. Are all these 10, isn't that what you had replied? The question is to you. This is a good introspection. that what we have around and what we are exposed to, allowed to in this democratic country as proud citizens, we are blessed with all these rights because we live in democracy. But the question, real question here is, how many of us are able to practice that? Okay. Now, a bit more into the communication rights of nations in their external relationships, and they're considered to be of high importance. While we experience rights for all, communication rights for all, right to inform, free and balanced flow of information, preservation of cultural integrity, cultural exchange, freedom of opinion and expression, right to be informed, right of correction, and right of reply. So this is a moment wherein we thoroughly analyze what all can be considered as considered as communication rights, and are we all blessed enough to have this, experience this, and promote this to the upcoming generation? So what signs and signals are we giving to the present generation and to the upcoming generation, the students mainly, who are the builders of the nation? Are we really empowering them with the communication rights available to them? Or, on the other hand, are we working in the opposite direction? Okay, good. So this is a highlight from a McBride Commission final report. And this is again from the UNESCO. So this is at the international level context. I'm trying to highlight three basic things: the right to know, to be given, and to seek out. So in such ways as he may choose, you can see on the screen the information that he desires, especially when it affects his life and work and the decisions he may have to take on his own account or as a member of the community. Whenever information is deliberately withheld or when false or distorted information is spread, this right is infringed. I'm sure many of us would agree. I have experienced this right being infringed many a time, and we need to correct it. And number two, the right to impart, to give to others the truth as he sees it about his living conditions, his aspirations, his needs, and grievances. In terms of public reality, are we really able to impart what we give, what we see? Not so. And the third one, the right to discuss. Communication should be an open-ended process of response. You can recollect the picture that I said, it's not a linear model. It's a two-way process, reflection and debate. This right secures genuine agreement on collective action and enables the individual to influence decisions made by those in authority. To these basic rights, we should add the right to privacy. You agree with me, but in many other spots, this is lacking. And the individual often needs to be protected from intrusion into his personal life, an intrusion against which he may be defenseless when it is backed by the power of modern technology. We have many examples here. I need not highlight, I need not picture just one of the situation. We have plenty to pick from the media of what is happening in our country, around the world. Are we really practicing this? The right to discuss. Many a time our TV channels, they have exposed many other aspects in many other parties. It begins with the right to discuss, but many a time it ends up with a futile attempt, raising voices on each other. So we need to thoroughly introspect if our society is committed to these three rights as put forth in the McBride Commission. Well, so the right to communicate always centers around three basic questions. And number one, why has the demand for the right to communicate arisen? It is a basic right, It's a basic thing, not even a right. It is a basic process. As I said in the beginning, every human cell, it has the process in communication, in growth, in its working. So why is that we say right to communicate? Just because it is denied. So now we champion the cause that we need to communicate. You get it? So that itself is pathetic, which by default should have been given to each of us, taken, experienced by each of us. And when there is a hindrance, when there is an iron hand, we try to make this as a right. Number two, what is to be understood by the right to communicate? And how should the right to communicate be developed? So with these three basic questions in my mind, in our society, we would like to look further how we can nurture this, how we can overcome this void, and try to develop ways and means wherein everyone communicates by default. Let's look into it. I would also like to highlight UNESCO's right to communicate in 4 levels. So UNESCO has said the communication right as the first level to be taken as a universal thing. So a universal right to communicate, be it comprehensive, culture, fair, general human right, and valid in all societies and at all levels, and seen as a long-term goal. Number 2, specific communication rights, a set of rights capable of being defined and acted upon and providing a framework for technical examination of entitlements and practical application of a general right. So in language, as we say, for specific purposes. So in communication rights as well, we have specific communication rights. Okay, and what do you mean by communication responsibilities? Rights cannot be exercised without reference to their effect on others, and rights must be matched by responsibilities. So those who exercise communication rights are accountable to society for their actions in the light of the common good. When we say we are democratic, it is basically understood that we are equally responsible. So that implies in here. And have you thought about communication issues in every society? It's a series of communication problems. It could be socio-cultural, domestic, political, anything that matters. And possibilities will be under continuous review concerned with processes, policies, activities, resources, structures, legislation, etc. So these 4 different levels, including state, community, individual, and institutional. Keeping this in mind, the communication issues in mind, we have framed some of our recommendations, which we would be seeing in our other further slides. Right, here you go. Communication rights in an Indian context at a national level. As I already said, communication is about the sender and the receiver, and also the chosen medium. And the context would be the people or the government. And now we are aware of the noise that happens because of various other factors. So we need to overcome the noise in communication. So what is required here is a skill and empowerment. We need to empower our society and make it adaptable with acceptance and tolerance. Of course, we lack this. And everywhere we get to see agitation, just because that could be a genuine reason, or that's just a hype. And when there is zero tolerance, these things happen. So what about social harmony? Do we really have social harmony amidst us? Not everywhere, not every place in our country is blessed with this. We experience chaos, we experience the troubled systems, wherein the basic rights are questioned and violated. So focusing on communication rights, our current status, as I feel, needs attention. Even though with challenges, these aspects, it genuinely has some kind of traction. So what needs in the system is the skills for the senders to communicate effectively and make their presence felt. This is applicable to the government, to any people in authority, just to ensure that the community is heard and responded. Well, so as I said, we put forth our recommendation in terms of what needs to be done towards the right to communication. We expect a policy similar to the policy of the right to education, right to food, right to information. And how many think educated are good communicators? Not many of us. So the answer would be, even among educated, only few are good in communication, right? The next thing, when I talk about empowering the society to be heard and also the presence to be felt, I would like to highlight the constraint, which is the resource to impart skill to billions in rural India. We are a country wherein we have billions of population, and we do have plenty of villages. Do you think every other village, they are aware of the basic human rights, the basic communication rights? Not so. So this is a constraint wherein I put forth a potential solution to the government and to our honorary parliamentarian, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, to take this further and implement in our education system. The education system is here recommended to have an internship or similar for final year students in colleges or universities to educate and transform villages or remote communities as part of curriculum. If we do this, this could be effortless, this could be well organized, and definitely this could be a fruitful attempt from each and every responsible student and the motivator or the guide that the university advises for them to transform a particular place, be it rural or naive community, to be aware and conscious of the rights that they can experience and voice out in case they are denied these things. So the communication rights and human rights as a subject is my next recommendation to be implemented as a compulsory subject in education, particularly in higher education. I have seen today artificial intelligence being considered as a mandatory subject in many other curriculums. In the place where I live in abroad, they have brought in AI as a compulsory subject in the curriculum from schools. And for some others, for some other country curriculums, it's like optional. But I don't want to focus on that. What I say is, these are the basic things. But how many of us are aware of this? Even not many of the educated people. So how about the rural people? We need to extend our service to the rural people. And let us bring in a change, asking each and every university to step in, making some policy changes, and to implement communication rights and basic human rights as their subject, so that our generation, when they come out of the university, they not only come out with flying colors in their subjects, but also as a well-informed citizen of India, not only to guide himself and his family and his community, but also extend his service as an intern during his final years of graduation and to empower a community or a village. Well, now, as I said, many things about communication and how we plan our communication with full rights will be our next focus. To be heard, you need substance. Not everyone can, say, yes, I would speak something at random and get it heard. No, not at all. You need to create a communication plan. You need to have the communication strategies right intact towards any action to be taken. Of course, as I said, the world is now, not just now, even history. It has shown chaos and unexpected events, turnarounds. And now we are in the bleak picture of this pandemic. So the situation is itself bleak. How are we going to deal with this? And also, how do we choose fairly the communication vehicles? So this is our next aspect, and I would like to quickly go through. Yes. Dr. Meera, can you please help me with the time?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, can you please help me with the time? What's the time right now?
5:45.
Okay.
5:45.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. So when I was talking about creating a communication plan, it applies to the public leadership. It applies to any sphere of your life wherein you are leader to direct anyone, or you just as a team leader to direct your team. Where do you exercise your communication rights matters, and how you do that matters again. If you look at this slideshow, you can see an acronym called PAYBOK. This is what I teach in my university as the best strategy in your communication could ever be. Keep the purpose in mind, unwavered. Analyze your audience thoroughly of who they are and what they need, what type of attention is required, and who are the skilled people in it. So what would be their, nurtured environment, and at the same time, what are the aspects wherein they look for their development. So a leader should be well informed of all these things. And of course, the information to be conveyed with all the C's that I said and the benefits that the audience would receive. Of course, when you exercise your communication right, you should be knowledgeable with the objections that can be taken. As a leader, you will definitely welcome their objections and be well prepared to counteract them, to address them, and fixing the context, of course. Now put yourself in a place of decision making as a decisive leader, as a decisive person. How would you bring a change in your organization? How would you bring a change in your own committee, in your own teams? Well, of course, it should be PAYBOK driven. And for any action to be taken, you will have a thorough understanding of all these essential elements that I have listed as PAYBOK. I did have a video here putting on some of the presidential elections and how well they had addressed the audience, the people of the nation. One such beautiful speech was from the former president, Barack Obama. And he is nonetheless a famous orator, public image, who is always celebrated amidst us. And I find PAYBOK in all of the speeches being self-written by the great personality. Right. So number 3, dealing with an aggressive situation. That is what I see as chaotic now. It is oblique, of course. Let us look at the 3 strategies in front of us. When a situation is aggressive, or when a person is aggressive, or a community is aggressive, how do we manage the situation? It's not by silencing them, or it's not by resisting, just caving in. No. And number 2, fogging. To say you might be right, or maybe or you are entitled to your point of view. This is by considering their point of view. We need to consider the other's point of view, giving them the benefit of doubt, but definitely not being aggressive back. So if a person who wishes to exercise full communication rights in an aggressive situation, in a chaotic situation, definitely the person must be approaching that particular community or situation only by fogging, to address their issue and to let them know that they are hurt, but then still this is the right thing to be done. Well, we talk a lot about communication rights, but still fogging has not been under the spotlight. So I always used to wonder, maybe our people, our community, if they realize fogging is an important aspect to handle this, things would have been dealt in a different way. As we are moving on to choosing your right communication vehicles, now it's an era of digital communication. I have picked just 6 rules to digital communication here as how we understand power dynamics, and we give people the benefit of doubt, as I said earlier, and asking for clarity matters in. Use the right channel and communicate your feelings. It can be anything. It can be either a broadcast over the radio, or a TV program, or a debate in a channel, or you just writing a blog, or your opinion being registered somewhere else. And also, over a period of time, we learn from the responses that we get. So this is one sure way to master the digital communication, by creating digital body norms on your own team. So we frame our own rules for the team, how we set it up. Right. Now, as we speak about mastering digital communication, this is an era wherein all our messages are decoded and registered somewhere else. And at the same time, we have plenty of messages coming in saying your message is encrypted. So do not worry about that. For simple instance, what we have in our WhatsApp, that speaks on our communication right. And it says your messages are encrypted from coder to decoder. Have you ever thought about that? What is that exactly? Let's look into it. The right to speak anonymously is, of course, considered, and it is a requirement in some places. So the protection of anonymity is another key element of the right to communicate. Every individual has the right to make his contribution anonymously. Why? We cannot deny, because anonymity may be motivated by fear of economic or official retaliation. So in several other situations, we tend to come across places wherein we require ourselves to be anonymous. Well, the next point, the right to use encryption tools. What do you mean by that? It's what I said in WhatsApp, in your email, in other chats, wherein we doubt the genuineness of the app. If it steals your information, or if it records your videos or pictures. I don't want to pinpoint or mention any other app here, but just for our awareness, I say, we are flooded with a lot of apps around to communicate, to socialize. But be prudent to pick the right one. Be discreet to choose the right one, wherein the encryption tools are intact. And the right to be free from unwarranted monitoring and surveillance. This happens many a time when we go to some websites. They talk about cookies and how they cleanly register our activities from the machine. So we need to be prudent on how to handle them. There are many other ways how we handle them. We are not looking at that. So when I talk about the right to communication, it is also about the right to information. And we exercise all these elements when we seek the right to information, right? So the new in the use of this kind of digital technology, there's no restrictions to enhance on online privacy, such as encryption or anonymizing software. So we need to be really careful and choosy when it comes to this. The next one, as I was talking about anonymous presence, restrictions on freedom of expression is another spotlight issue. The right to communicate cannot be exercised in a hostile environment. Of course, the environment should be supportive, should be democratic. Only then the right to communicate will flourish. So individuals should be allowed to collect, receive, and disseminate information without undue hindrance and any restrictions within strictly defined parameters. So what are these parameters? The government fixes the parameters. The policy it makes fixes the parameters. In line with it, I have drawn in Article 19, which lays down the conditions for respect of rights or reputation of others, and for the protection of national security or of public order. In these terms, there will be restrictions on freedom of expression. Not everything can be conveyed. We don't give free access to everyone. So these restrictions apply. Human Rights Committee has come up with 3 tests on these restrictions. It should be provided by law, then it's yes, of course. B, for the purpose of safeguarding one of the legitimate interests listed, and be necessary to achieve this goal. For example, patent. When you go in for a patent, you cannot give it as a free activity to everyone to experience and conduct experiments based on all your points that you have listed out, because you have the patent in your hand. So that's your own right. Right. So in my opinion, I have this one final question just for you to reflect. Yes. This is the last slide, perhaps. We have spoken much on communication rights and nuances of it, the strategies, how to overcome, how to deal with people, situations, to devise a good plan, and how to be decisive when we take decisions related to our choice of rights as a human being. My one question for you is, how should the communication resources of the world be developed to enable everyone to have a balanced, interactive, and participatory right to communicate? I repeat, how should the communication resources of the world be developed to enable everyone to have a balanced, interactive, and participatory right to communicate? With this question, I want each one of you to reflect and also introspect the communication rights, as 92% of you have already promised me that you are exercising. And I am with the 8% of the people who say they cannot, and to adapt the means and the strategies that I had put in this particular session as a way forward to dismiss the 8% and make it 100%. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing the quantum impact and change each of you will bring in as a responsible communicator exercising full communication rights. You can always find me on LinkedIn and also in my communication professionals. So please feel free to reach out. I'm glad to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. It was really an enriching talk, madam. Thank you for this great presence and lecture. We will go ahead and take some questions now. Shall I read the question, ma'am?
Yes.
We do question, I think. Anitra Dekha, what are the barriers to effective communication? What are the barriers to effective communication?
Well, I am more pleased to answer these questions because these questions are what I teach to my students. Apart from seeing these as communication rights, once you know the barriers that lay in front of you when you are a communicator, definitely you will achieve your communication rights eventually when you master this. So looking into the barriers, one is noise, and which we dealt in our session. Hopefully I answered you. And number two, the cultural barriers. We belong to a particular community wherein we exercise our own culture, and not necessarily everyone that we meet or communicate or interact should understand the culture and behave accordingly. A simple example could be monochronic and polychronic. Some could be punctual to the meetings, and there are communities, countries wherein they do not even make it as a key, element to be practiced. So they are polychronic. You get it? So these are some of the cultural elements that we need to keep in hand, and also be accommodative to, and have a globalistic approach to communication, so that we have all the countries and all the people sticking together with a common notion of being heard, with the feedback, the timeliness of that, and the approachability, following the boardroom of language. When I say the boardroom of language, it is exceptionally English, as we have in hand. And this again relates to how you are a conscious speaker or a communicator in assessing the other person's situation or norms. Hope I answered.
Okay, ma'am. And the second question from Basant KR. What are the main contents in the Article 19 to describe the right to communicate?
Very good. When we look at the main contents in the perspective of the right to communicate, I had listed out all of these things. Let me go back to our slide. I'm glad the person has asked this. So the right to communicate includes not just about the freedom of expression, but also it includes the right towards accessing information to also practice that. So it ranges from a right to speak till the right to be subjective. It is in slide 12, and yes, I have listed all of them there. Do you want me to read it out? Dr. Meera,
Yes, ma'am.
you want me
My
to
next
read it out?
question.
Yes.
Sometimes our rights of communication clash with those of the state. Example, COVID times when our right to privacy is infringed upon. So, do you think we can ever exercise our full communication rights?
Okay, so it is Susie Anthony who says, sometimes our rights of communication clash with those of state. Analyze the root cause of that. The solution comes only when we go to the root problems. Why is that considered to be a clash? Example, COVID times when our right to privacy is infringed upon. In what way? Just because we have transformed to the online platform? I don't think so. So it all depends on how we analyze and get to the grassroots level to tackle this type of problems. In case you feel you don't exercise full communication rights, today I had listened to our media wherein they said 72% of males, they are found to be highly authoritative in online communication, and women are silenced. So these could be the teething issues, wherein it is not about the male or the female issues. This is all about the tactics of communication. Wherein if you really meant about that, Susie, then I would ask you to follow all of these strategies. Bring in payback, bring in the C's, make yourself effective to be heard. Yes.
Next question from Arun Das. Don't you think that there should be some restrictions on the right to information?
Definitely, Arupdas, we dealt with this in the slideshow. I was talking about the exclusive restrictions that are available just because the Human Rights Committee has approved, because it is being provided by the law and it's already there. That's what you mean. Don't you think there should be some restrictions? Yes, they are already there, and my slide 25 explained about that. There are restrictions, and of course we practice that just because to preserve the national security team or in cases where it's necessary to achieve a common purpose or goal being enlisted in the legislation. So there are cases wherein, yes, restrictions are practiced. When I talk about restrictions of the freedom of expression, it is applicable to restrictions on the right to information. For example, which I gave is patent. Yours is yours. Nobody can, barge in.
Another question from Jay Krishnan sir. Ma'am, is it difficult to overcome semantic barriers for effective communication?
Definitely. Mr. Jayakrishnan, when I talk about semantic barriers, something comes to my mind. Our students, they extensively use acronyms like SIA and TT for now. So all of these things, these are semantics. And I would like you to focus on the choice of words, diction, and the register we call in language, so that you can definitely overcome semantic barriers. It's not a big deal.
I think no other questions. So we move on to the concluding session.
Okay.
Thank you everyone. We appreciate you for raising question, and thank to you ma'am for patiently answering all questions. Thank you so much ma'am.
It's my pleasure.
Now we move to the valedictory session. It's my proud privilege to request our principal, Dr. K.V. Sree, to deliver the valedictory address. Ma'am, principal ma'am.
Namaste to all the participants who are connected online to this last and valedictory session of this 10-day program. I am honored to present the valedictory address. Today, the final session of the 7-day long FDP on human rights, jointly organized by IQAC and IAC of Ayyappa College for Women and UGC HRDC Kannur University from 3/10/2020 to 9/10/2020. Human rights are often examined only within the scope of law. It's true that legal provisions are essential to claim any right, including human rights, but perhaps mere legal provisions are not enough to understand, protect, and promote human rights in most societies. At the global level, the United Nations, in responding to conflicts, is gradually moving from what former Secretary General Kofi Annan termed a culture of reaction, a culture of prevention. The short program on human rights provided a rare space to examine human rights from an independent and holistic perspective. It brings together faculty affiliated with different universities, students, and guest speakers to examine issues of human rights. We are really lucky and blessed to have eminent expertise of our panelists to discuss various topics on human rights. I am confident that the debates, deliberations, and discussions during these days will help to formulate fresh ideas and challenge existing perspectives in the approach to human rights advocacy. As the program comes to a close, it is my bounden duty to convey our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who contributed their time and effort in order to make the event the success it was. My special thanks are to Dr. Sridharan, Director, UGC HRDC, Kannur University. Sir, by collaborating with us, you have proved the words of Robert John Meehan, the most valuable resource that all teachers have is each other. Without collaboration, our growth is limited to our own perspective. And also the words of Ralph Ellison, education is all a matter of building bridges. So your collaboration is the success behind this program, which made us to connect with more than 250 participants across India. And I am sure that it is a milestone in our path of excellence. Dear participants, your cooperation, not only as participants, but also as active contributors by taking part in discussions and interactions made all the sessions lively, which helped to reach the vibe of the program. to all the invited speakers, participants, and for everyone who supported the event, once again, I express our gratitude. We offer all the outcome of this program to the grace of Lord Ayyappa, our guiding deity, whose endless blessings is the source of all our achievements. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. We actually use both positive and negative feedback from our participants to constantly improve our future programs. I invite some of our participants to give their feedback about these short-term posts. For that, I call upon Dr. Chitra Nair, Government Sanskrit College, Thiruvananthapuram. Ma'am, please. Chitra, ma'am.
Good evening, one and all. Respected resource person of the day, dear fellow participants, dear friends, and dear students. Today is the last day of this 7-day online short-term program on human rights organized by the IQAC and IIC of Sree Ayyappa College for Women in collaboration with UGC HRDC Kannur University. So now it's the time for feedback, and I'm really glad that I have been given an opportunity to share my observations on the program. As a regular participant, I sincerely feel that all the sessions incorporated into the structure of this short-term program have been very successful in making us, in sensitizing us on the various legislations in the field of human rights, which again I strongly believe have grim implications on the contemporary social scenario. With an increasing incidence of human rights violations these days, the topic chosen by the organizers undoubtedly befits the need of the hour. So I take this opportunity to congratulate the panel of eminent resource persons, as well as to appreciate the hard work, the hard efforts put in by the organizers of Sree Ayyappa College and UGC HRDC Kannur University in making this program a grand success, and also enabling us to have a very comprehensive kind of picture on the theoretical implications of human rights. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for ma'am for your kind words. We are very happy to hear these words from the participants like you. Next, I invite Dr. Praveen, Assistant Professor, Sri Kerala Varma College, Tripur. Praveen, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Audible, madam? Audible?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, madam. First, I appreciate and congratulate the coordinators and organizers of the short-term course, 1-week short-term course. The content were well placed in the schedule for the every day. This course has offered sufficient information and the relationship between society and human rights by giving concrete examples. The great content from a fabulous speakers. I learned a lot about this course. The resource persons were very knowledgeable, very easy to digest the information. The coordination of the program were excellent and very good coordination. I especially thank Dr. Janada Madam and Dr. Meera teacher and principal of Sree Ayyappa College. God bless you all. Bless Lord Ayyappa. Thank you very much, madam. Thank you. Excellent coordination, excellent and very useful course. Please organize more course for all the teachers of our nation. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful feedback. Thank you so much. Next, Dr. Jisha D. Nair, Assistant Professor of History, Pioneer College, Kannur. Jisha, madam.
Yes, Meera, I'm here. Meera, my audio video won't go together, so I'll just speak on without video because my
Okay,
mobile is having some problem. So I'll continue with audio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Whatever I'm speaking is purely empirical view based on observation for the past 7 days. Okay, what I have observed.
Yes.
Most respected authorities, dear organizing team, fellow participants. We had a very fruitful evenings, all these for the past 7 days. The short-term program, which was organized by Sree Ayyappa College, was beautifully executed in a very comfortable environment. Excellent program, helped us to learn a great deal and inspired us to learn a lot. All that begins well must end well. Starting on the day 1 with inauguration and address by Shashi Tharoor, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, as words are very few to express what actually he is an ocean of knowledge. Concluding day 7 by Marilyn Meadow, she has enriched us. Really, we are thankful to her and Shashi sir. Then day 2 program was by Professor Purushothaman Reddy. He spoke on human rights in disaster management. He helped us to prepare ourselves, respond and recover in case of any disasters. That is how to lessen the impact of disaster, which was quite useful in the present day situation. The 3rd day program was by T.P. Srinivasan, IFS. The topic on which he spoke was the role of UN in human rights, a very relevant topic in today's world. He has enriched our knowledge. Really, we are indebted to all these people. Day 4 was by Dr. Girish Keshava Pillai. He spoke on human rights in a pandemic era, a very thoughtful session by Sir. Then the next was day 5 by Srinivasan sir, Dr. Srinivasan, M. Srinivasan. The resource was very resourceful, he spoke on human rights of women. Day 6 by Dr. Shaima. The topic which she spoke was disability and human rights. What I felt personally is she's truly passionate about what she does, and that itself is captivating. Now, this is my 8th course with HRDC Kannur University, and Kannur University is not very far away. It's very close to me because I stay in Kannur, and always I have been taking all the courses, even though 66 HRDCs are there in entire India, but I have been taking all the courses from this particular HRDC only. Why? Because I felt that Kannur has, this HRDC will provide me or enrich me with a lot of knowledge. So I have been regularly, and I'm grateful to the organizing team of Sree Ayyappa College. And one thing I have to mention here, that Dr. K.V. Jayashree, your principal madam, she is the most inspiring person I have ever met. Although you are a team, you have worked a lot, and the idea originated in your brain, but to materialize it, you needed the support, and that support was provided by the most simple person, Dr. A.M. Sridharan, Director of UGC HRDC Kannur University. I'm grateful to Dr. Meera, even though I haven't had a face-to-face interaction with her. The only person I knew was Dr. Janata Kumari, whom I met her in one of the courses at Kannur University. Then Dr. Anita, you are a wonderful team, and let your team do a wonderful job like this. Then even though during these days I have come across some of the names which I need to mention, they are Dr. Meera, Dr. Smita, Dr. Uma, Dr. Prasanna, Dr. Radha, Dr. Shobha, Dr. Rakhi, and Dr. Shreya. Even though I haven't met y'all, but y'all have become a member of our family. And I have become a member of your family, because earlier also I have taken up certain courses with this Ayyappa College, and one of the courses was done by Savida, I remember. Then another course also was done by her, and really I'm privileged doing courses with y'all. So the thing is that let's hope that you all come up with more courses and all the participants present over here will join you. And one thing I must say is the fees which you have taken or collected is very meager amount. None of the universities or none of the institutions has done like this. So all the positive comments, not much of negative comment, but one point I would like to state is that everything has its own pros and cons. So one con which I found is that I have just mentioned all the positives. One handouts you all have not given related to this, whatever classes were taken. So please keep in mind next time onwards, if you can provide with some handouts of these courses, it would be helpful to us to carry forward, or we can use it, or we can use for enriching our knowledge. I think many of the participants had requested also, so you kept in. And the last but not the least, I must say that the publication which you have come up with an idea, it's a very good idea. Why? Because in the recent times, they all need for their promotion, faculties need for their promotion. So opportunities like this come very rarely. And one of the best things which you have done, or you have taken an initiative to publish those papers, is one of the best things. So I'm indebted to all of you at Sree Ayyappa College. Thank you. God bless each and everyone. Stay safe, stay happy.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable feedback, thoroughly quoting all the resource persons and our teams. Thank you very much. Anybody wants to share your feedback, please join with us. Anybody wants to share your feedback? Participants?
So Meera, we will go to the formal protocol.
So I think it's over. Dear participants, we are really thankful for your valuable opinions, views, and feedback. This program.
Hello, ma'am. One suggestion, please.
Yes.
I didn't get any. By this 5 to 6:30 is a period in which in my college I have classes, but I can't attend all the classes. But it all the sessions are informative and highly. I can't express in words. The resource person and the coordination is very well you have arranged. First 2 days I have gained that YouTube link from Meera ma'am. Other things I can't receive. If possible, I am always try to enter into the class while I wind up the session, my session rapidly, and I am always entering into this class session. But I didn't get that much information. I want the YouTube streaming live information from ma'am. I think you will share it later. Excellent work by the coordination, all the staff, especially Meera ma'am, Sree ma'am, all the staff involved in this particular venture. I am appreciating all the faculty members of Ayyappa College and the management.
Ma'am, one more request is that because of connectivity issues at my place, I couldn't fill the feedback form.
Yeah,
because yesterday form also
I too can't.
So if you can keep it open for some time, because before I could even yesterday I tried after the session, it was not opening. After that it got closed. So if you could please kindly allow us to fill the feedback form, we'll be highly obliged and grateful. Rest the sessions were very good, especially Srinivasan sir, excellent presentation and lot of input related to women rights, and it is need of the hour. We can see everything. All the sessions were extremely good, and this college is extremely good because we have done before also one by Nasar Ali sir. So we find that this college has really taken a lot of effort, and the teachers and the principal, the entire team really works very well. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Shobha. We will extend
There is one more. Shiba is there, Meera.
Shiba Nayak.
I would like to add, I'm really proud, dear organizers.
Shiba, breaking of voice.
Shiba, voice is less audible.
Okay, I congratulate you for the wonderful effort that you have taken. Really good. I am so glad that many of the participants are speaking high of our college and you people. I'm really thrilled. And I congratulate you for the success that you brought in for our institution, and I'm really grateful to you. And congratulations.
Thank you, Shiba.
Thank you, Shiba. Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
I'm Meena from Kannur. It's really nice of you to have taken such a beautiful topic like human rights and covered all the 7 areas. Thank you so much for the valuable information. Thank you so much, Janata.
Thank you, Meena ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, shall we conclude, Janata ma'am?
Yes, Meena.
Hello, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
sir.
Hello, ma'am. Professor Muzao speaking.
Yes, sir.
Overall program was excellent. Thank is requested by resource person and organized team. All ma'ams, Janta ma'ams, Meera ma'ams, and all team supporting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. So shall I? Meera?
Okay.
Then.
Dear participants, we are really thankful for your valuable opinions, views, and feedback. This program has achieved its objective only because of the active and committed participations of you. And it's a matter of great pride for us that this program got enriched by the immense response and participation from the academic community, students, and professionals from throughout India. We are receiving a lot of feedback from many participants in the mail and in the chat box, and we assure you to consider each and every opinion and suggestions which are very valuable to us. Kindly pardon with us that it is already 6:30 and due to time constraints, we have to call it a day. Once again, thank you all. And now we move on to the vote of thanks session. Now I invite Dr. Janata ma'am, the backbone of this program, for proposing the vote of thanks. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Meera. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Respected guest of honor, Dr. Marilyn Meadow, Principal Madam, Dr. K.V. Sree, HRDC Director, Dr. M. Sridharan sir, IQC Coordinator, Dr. K. Meena ma'am, IAC members, participants, a pleasant good evening to all. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. Here myself, Dr. Janta is privileged to thank each and everyone who have been a part of the 7-day short-term program on human rights. The best and the beautiful things in the world could be seen or even touched only. They must be felt. And I think that thank you is one such prayer among them. I humbly submit all our endeavors, all our activities, everything from 3rd to 9 to the Almighty Lord for making the program a resounding success. With His blessings and grace, we are able to make this event what it was. I sincerely acknowledge the contribution of all the resource persons right from Dr. Shashi Tharoor MP, Dr. Purushothaman Reddy sir, T.P. Srinivasan sir, Dr. Girish T. Pillai sir, Dr. Srinivas, Dr. Shyama Ramaswamy, and today Dr. Marilyn Meadow, and all the participants on this day. We know that gratitude is the inward feeling of kindness received. Thankfulness is the natural impulse to express that feeling. I am elated to thank Dr. Meadow for the excellent lecture on communication rights. Dr. Meadow and me are proud Holy Crossians. She's very, very junior, very young, vibrant, beautiful, dynamic lady. And more than that, myself and Meadow have a loving bond of sisterhood that always binds us. Words will never fulfill how I want to thank you, dear. With your sparkling thoughts, you have ignited all of us. Communication is what we know literally. And we never have gone beyond that extent to think about it. Is there rights or should we look into use it? We were not at all aware of it. Dr. Meadow, your talk has given us insights into the new spectrum. Thank you for accepting our invitation in the midst of many commitments and responsibilities as a teacher, as a mother, and so many things. Thank you, dear Meadow, for accepting our invitation. I thank Dr. Meadow on behalf of HRDC, Kannur University, Ayyappa College members, IQAC, IAC, and on my own behalf, I thank you, Meadow.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is rather gratifying for me to thank the Vice Chancellor of Kannur University, Professor Gobinath Ravindran, for the permission granted and for the conduct of this 7-day short-term program on human rights. Some people come in our life as blessings. I am blessed to have my short-term course at HRDC Kannur University. Thereby, I could meet the great symbol director, Dr. Sree of HRDC. And sir, I am thankful to you for the kind-hearted approach, your willingness to collaborate with us, striving hard to get permission from the Vice Chancellor, and staying with us till this moment, encouraging and supporting us. Sir, I thank you on behalf of Ayyappa, IQAC, and all the world. And always my heart is filled with pleasure and gratitude, indebtedness to thank our beloved Principal Madam, Dr. K.V. Sree, for the unstinting support, motivation, and the moral support we continually receive from you, Madam. My thanks are due to Dr. K. Meena, the IQAC coordinator, for strengthening us and being with us throughout the program. I should thank Dr. Smita, the president of IAC, who was due to some unfortunate situation, she can't be here with us. But we always thank you, Smita, because you were from behind supporting us and you were the pillar of strength to us, Smita. And we know that great things happen to us, and those who don't stop believing, trying, learning, and being grateful. And we know that even the dimension like this cannot happen overnight. The wheel started rolling months back with all the dedicated staff of our college. And we have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated friends of IIT. I thank you for the involvement, the willingness you have expressed to take on the completion of tasks beyond your comfort zones. I thank all my colleagues from my college for their participation and support. When we give cheerfully, we thought that we accept gratefully. Everyone is blessed. We are indeed fortunate to have such an enthusiastic participants. You have cheerfully given your participation, and we are really overwhelmed. Your presence, your comments, your compliments gave us energy to the peak. Without you all, dear participants, the program wouldn't have been meaningful and successful. Thank you, dear participants, for considering our invitation, joining us, and throughout the 7 days, being with us as like the members of one family. And here I should thank Dr. Praveen, Dr. Chitra, Dr. Disha from Kannur University, all for their and all the other participants who have given the feedback. I wholeheartedly thank you for this positive feedback and also for the suggestions. I also thank from the bottom of my heart all my Kannur friends who are here with us for the program, friends from my own place and from Kerala, and also throughout India, all our friends, because we have been meeting continuously or in between in the webinars and also the courses. You all have been always a source of support to me and to my team in all our endeavors. I thank you, dear Abhijits, both Abhijits, the promising youth, students of mechanical engineering and geoinformatics, of our own family, for the technical support and the help. But cannot convey our thanks to you, dears. It's because of you both we could relax and conduct this 7-day short-term program in a meaningful way or a successful way. I do not know if I have left anybody else to thank, but accept my humble thanks to everyone. I should definitely mention Dr. Meera and Dr. Anita, who have been always with me, shouldering all the responsibilities. I think that we had a very quite strenuous time, but we were so happy that we were able to work together, and though that's the effect or that's the result you all see on this 7-day program. My dear friends, Meera and Anita, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I think that I think let gratitude be the pillow upon which you kneel to say your nightly prayer. And let faith be the bridge you build to overcome evil and welcome good. At this fair end, I would say that waking up tomorrow morning, feeling that no course is there, will be missing all of you dear participants. Thank you for joining us, motivating us, and making this program a meaningful one. Let me conclude with the words, be mindful, be grateful, be positive, be true, be kind. Yes, this is the word. These are the words of T. Roy. And I say that mutually understanding, helping, and mindful, let us all grow together. Keep supporting us in the forthcoming programs or webinars. We always looking forward to meet you in the coming seminars. Hope you are taking away enlightening and cherishable moments with you. And thank you one and all. Thank you everyone for making this program a grand success. And dear participants, a few announcements at the end. Announcements regarding the proposed book we are planning to publish. The time limit we would like to give you is 1 month, and the deadline may be, we thought that November 15th. We will always post or share this, all the details in our website. You can mail your article to contact.humanrights2020@gmail.com. The details regarding the book publication will be shared in the website and to all your mails. Please follow the current methodology of your own subject. Those who are willing to contribute your article to our book, please fill the form in the website and join the WhatsApp group using the link provided in the form. We will be updating the progress of the publication there. And that is from the date of the submission, it will take for us and also the publisher 8 to 10 months to go through the drafts and bring it or release the book. Please wait patiently. And also your certificates, and also have to look into the attendance, participation effectively, and within 1 week, we promise you that the certificates will reach you through your provided email. Hoping to meet you all in yet another program. Thank you. Stay safe, stay blessed. Thanks to one and all from Sree Ayyappa College and HRDC University, Kannur University. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Merlin, my special thanks for accepting our invitation and give wonderful lecture seminar series. Thank you.
That's so kind of you. Thank you for the kind words, Dr. Jay.
So, of Holy Cross College.
Yes.
Yes, of course. So it's all my pleasure. Having chosen the last day to be the resource person with you all, it's in a way a blessing in disguise. I felt like I'm part of the team, answering and listening everyone. So my good suggestion is, like I found in the chat, that we would be sending the PPTs on email. My suggestion is to have a Google Classroom so that we pour in all our participants in there, and they can discuss with us, with the resource persons, and we can clarify any doubts they have, along with the PPTs being shared in there. Thank you one and all, and have a nice and beautiful evening. Exercise your communication rights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sure. Sure.
May I take leave?
Yeah, you can leave. You can leave, madam.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
For the kind attention of the participants, we will